Hey everyone, welcome to our don't even know what number we're on. Five, six, episode six, five, six, I don't know. Podcast. This is just an update, a catch up on the previous one that we put out, the previous podcast we put out about what we were planning on doing with regards to the coronavirus and things like that. So it's just an update on that, update on where the business is at, and sort of how much more prepared we are for it in light of all the things that have changed. So if you wanted to start us off with your thoughts on I mean all of the changes that have happened since we last spoke, it's things have gone quite mad.
Yeah, so the world has indeed gone rather mad. So I guess first and foremost, our thoughts go out to everyone who's kind of been affected. I think it's impacting everyone in some way, shape, or form. Um, so yeah, I guess it looks like tough times ahead for everyone. So we wish everyone the best from that perspective. In terms of us, I think thankfully, I think pardon the pun, we got our house in order quite early on. So the viewing videos are now, we've pretty much got them all done.
Yeah, so today I went out and filmed pretty much the last
Yeah, okay.
video tour walk around. One they need to be edited, but that's a day's worth of work,
Yeah.
And then we'll have those. So yeah, I mean we've spoken about it near enough on a daily basis in terms of our approach to it, where we're at with it, and all manners of things. Because on a daily basis there are changes happening, So from new things being announced by the chancellor to stuff with the schools, and on a daily basis there's new developments.
Yeah.
And so we've kind of every day we've spoken about it, and every day we've been sort of talking about how we can tackle this coming storm or situation.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think that we put a pretty good plan together. We recognized and accepted quite early on that there will be changes and to the way in which people interact with the whole process of
Yeah.
buying a house, and we concentrated on areas that we knew we could maintain or even improve that experience for people, rather than trying to spread ourselves too thin to just try and keep everything the same. We knew that things aren't going to be the same for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, but I think buyer behaviour. I think buyer behaviour is going to change. Potentially not in a bad way, actually. So I think we're already seeing it that people are still making inquiries on properties. Um, and I would expect that over time, as this becomes a bit more normal, in the nicest possible way, I mean normal, but people are kind of at home and self-isolating. I expect that actual traffic will probably go up on property portals and ways for people where they view their properties. I would expect all of that to go up. Um, so the way that we are able to engage with people and the information we're able to give them, almost if we take out the fact that people might not want to view properties, might not feel comfortable with viewing properties. I know we talked about it in the last podcast, but can we give them the best experience of seeing the property in the flesh without them having to see it in the flesh?
Yeah.
So that actually, if they see elements in the video that they like, they can then maybe just book in one viewing as opposed to maybe doing 4 or 5, which is what the usual behaviour is for people. It's not often that we get many buyers who come to view our properties that are only viewing one property. People tend to view 5 or 6 in a day. And so perhaps people might just go, I'm just going to view that one that I really like. So from that perspective, that's really good. Actually really pleased that we sold a property on that basis yesterday, that we sent over a video to someone who sent an inquiry in saying that they're interested in the property, sent the video over to them. Actually, it ticked a lot of their boxes. They booked in to go and see it that afternoon, and they made an offer in the evening. So that's really, really promising, and actually it means that hopefully we can continue, that there's less people in the market. We're actually able to service those people and service our clients too. So from a marketing perspective, I'm really happy that we've been able to kind of proactively and quickly do something that means that we're going to be able to service people even if we're working remotely. So I guess thank you for doing that, and thank you to our customers for allowing us in to do that as quickly as we have. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm really I was really pleased with how quickly we were supposed to, from from the inception of having this idea of this is how we're going to approach this situation, to sending out the communication to the customers saying we need to come and shoot in your house again, to then having it all completed is less than a week and a half.
Yeah.
It's been really good. But yeah, I was really pleased, obviously, but I mean, I was really pleased yesterday when we sold a house based on this process that we've put in place. Because essentially, what we've done is worked backwards. We've kind of gone, what's the ideal scenario in which someone's going to buy a house? Okay, it's this. They will book in a viewing and go and see it. And okay, well, what can't happen now? And then you work backwards from that. And we kind of said, well, if that's the golden thing that you want to achieve, what's the next best thing one step back from that? It's virtual tours. And we looked at all sorts of stuff. We looked at...
well, it was interesting, the 360. It'd be good to talk about that, because I know we talked a lot about the 360 stuff, but actually for this, we made a change and didn't do that. So good for you to share that.
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm a big believer in using the right tool for the right task, rather than just going, we've got this new shiny piece of equipment, let's use it for everything. You use the best tool for what you need to do. And yeah, we went into one property with the 360 camera, and our goal was to essentially walk around the house with the 360 camera, and then in the editing, be able to sort of spin around each room and show everyone what each area was, and all this sort of stuff. And when I did it with one house and came back and started editing it, and then we both sat down and looked at it, and we were like, it wasn't. You were able to see a lot of the room, but it was such a distorted, fish-eyed approach to each room that A, the rooms didn't look like the actual shape of what they were, and B, it wasn't a true representation if you walked into that room with your eye and what you could see. It was exaggerated. And so we didn't like that, and so we switched out the 360 camera for just for the GoPro, which I kind of just been mounting onto a gimbal, and sort of just walked the house into one room, turn around, walk backwards into a corner of the room so that you can see the entirety of it. And so we've done it that way. And yeah, we put this process in place of saying, okay, well, we're going to have to show people around these houses virtually in the form of a video. And it was nice to get the clarification yesterday that, yeah, that's the right way to do it, by the fact that we sold a house doing it. It was, I mean, obviously, it's great that we sell a house, but it was really nice with that one, because it was that's, you've hit the nail on the head in terms of how to attack the market during this time. So that was really, really good. I was really pleased about that.
Hopefully it's really important, because I still believe there's going to be people out there who want to buy houses, who want to move, especially with the announcement just an hour ago about the interest rate.
So just before we hit record, my phone binged up, or both our phones binged up with a news alert that they've dropped the interest rate from 0.25 to 0.1%.
Yeah. So the lowest interest rates in 300 years. So financially, people are going to save.
So if I went and got a mortgage, if I went and borrowed 250,000, 300,000, I'd pay back a quid.
So I mean, those interest rates need to be reciprocated at the other end. But stands to reason that hopefully there would definitely be massive savings for people to make. And on that basis, long term, if you take a long term view, which is what you should always do with housing, again, it represents good opportunities for people, great opportunities for first-time buyers.
It'll be really interesting to see what happens during this whole process, because you've got a lot of the ingredients for really good. You've got a lot of people that are going to be at home with looking online at the all the properties that are for sale. You've got interest rates lower than they've ever been. You know what I mean? Like there is really a lot of reasons on the buyer's side to want to go and go out and purchase a property, and so it'd be interesting to see if that translates, how that translates, because the only thing stopping people now is physically they might not want to go and view.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think I think in the short term, until we really know what we're looking at in terms of timings and what the world's going to look like, that maybe it's going to be a couple of weeks of a bit of uncertainty, but hopefully we're going to get some certainty in the coming sort of days, weeks ahead that actually we're going to get through this. This is when it looks like we might get through it, and I think at that point there's some real good opportunity there. As everyone keeps saying, of course it's true. We will all get through this, and we might get through it, and the world looks slightly different to what it looks now, but we will all get through it, and hopefully everyone can come out of it better, or not better, but in a position where people can just move on with their lives in a positive way.
I do feel like we're in a little bit of a lull period here where people don't have all the answers that they want. We're slowly getting them.
It's all new, isn't it? I mean, every day there's something new happening. There's more developments.
But everyone's looking at the government for the answers, so that they know they can make the right decision without being penalised.
Yeah.
I mean, I won't talk about it for too long, but the other arm of I do a lot of weddings.
Yeah.
Venues have flat out not cancelled any weddings. They're happening as though everything is normal.
Yeah, okay.
And because of that, and that's because of they haven't had the answer from the government of yes, close your business. Therefore, they can't cancel because they'll have to refund the wedding, and they won't be able to claim it on their insurance. So that's one example of how everyone's sort of stalled and they're not too sure what to do, how to move forward, because the answer hasn't come from an authority. And I think that we're slowly getting some of those answers knocked off now. We know what's happening with schools, which means we know what's happening with people being in work and stuff like that. And then you also know what's happening with what you can claim for and how much the government's going to support you financially and stuff like this. So I think as we get more answers, people will know where they stand. They'll know what decisions to make, and then we'll see. I think that's the point that we'll see the actual standard behaviour that people are going to have in the market during this process. But I think that we're right at the end of that lull period. I think that we are just literally a week away from people knowing what's going to be going on.
Well, that'd be good. That'd be good. Uncertainty in anything is always...
I am not a scientist, so that was purely me just guessing.
It sounded good.
It did sound very good, but I don't want to go viral going, this guy says this, and then suddenly it's everywhere.
I can't imagine anyone watches this enough that you go.
No, not at all.
So uncertainty of anything, certainly in property, is never a good thing. So we hope we can get through it as quickly and as painlessly as possible. But believe it or not, we're still getting inquiries. We've got houses to take on next week.
Yeah.
We're still here.
Well, I mean, if you'd been living in a cave, if you'd been Tom Hanks in it,
and you look like you lived in a cave.
Sometimes I wish I did.
Okay.
If you'd been Tom Hanks in it from Castaway and you didn't know of anything that was going on right now, and you were to look at the inquiries we've been having, my diary for next week for new properties coming on that I've got to film, you wouldn't know that all this stuff was going on. On the business side of things, it is. I mean, we said it last time, business as usual, and I was a little bit worried that people might kind of go, "Oh, these guys aren't taking it seriously."
Yeah.
But it really is business as usual. There are inquiries coming in. There's a lot of people looking online. The interest rates have just come down, giving people more incentive to buy. I'm going out filming new properties that are coming on. We sold a property yesterday at a time when everyone seems to be batting down the hatches. So
I think the important thing to mention as well is that we have got safety measures in place for people in terms of...
Oh yeah, we're not being naive about things, yeah.
So there's measures in place in terms of who you've been in contact with, and procedures that we're going through. So it's not... we are going through some steps to make sure that we are keeping our buyers and also our actual clients safe and their well-being as well. But as long as everything is okay, we're gonna continue and keep going for as long as we can.
Yeah, I mean, we've both put in. Okay, so we've both put in measures of how we're going to be if we have to work from home.
Yeah.
How me and you are going to continue going. How people are still going to be able to view properties if they aren't willing or are told they can't come out of the house.
That's also another thing. Sorry to interrupt.
Right.
It's worth saying that as well. Everyone that we're partnering with, both with us solicitors and all aspects of connections we've got with our business, are also set up to make sure that they're actively able to work at home too. It doesn't mean that our chains and people who have sold properties, that's all stopping too. We've had it on good authority that local authorities, so people can get searches. So if you've sold your property to, or you're about to sell your property, or you've just gone under offer, that's okay. Everyone is functioning, even if they're not in the office. So that's important to mention. So sorry.
Yeah, no, well, I mean that was kind of what I was going to say. You know, the things that we put in place isn't isolated to just us.
Yeah.
Everybody has started. I've started to see more posts online from a personal point of view, people that I know in different sectors and different areas of the business world. I've started to see more and more every day of people working from home now, day one of being isolated, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Whereas a week ago, it was kind of like, wow, when are we going to have to do this? And now it's starting to happen. And I think that a lot of people have put measures in place. I mean, I'm very optimistic. I'm feeling positive about the sort of where we were a week ago, and we kind of went, we need to, I mean, should we talk about the thing that really kicked us into gear to do this with Happened in the Office?
Yeah, but I'm lost.
Okay, so a week ago or so, we had a bit of a scare in some of the offices near ours, where a lady had to go home and be tested for the coronavirus, and everybody in all the offices that are near ours
came a bit soon for us.
kind of went, "Oh my God, someone in the office over the road has needed to be tested for the coronavirus," and so it made everybody pause. And that was when me and you really ramped up and went, "Right, we need to get this sorted today."
Yeah.
And so, not that if that hadn't happened, we wouldn't be where we are, but I'm glad that we put the measures in place that we did, and that we are where we are now in terms of our readiness for it.
Well, I feel really confident that we're going to be able to, I guess, still operate as we normally would. Yes, we won't necessarily be able to do the viewings at the level for obvious reasons, but people are still going to get as good an experience as they can, and actually the viewing videos are really good. I think it will probably be something that we do moving forward anyway, because actually it's important for people to be really informed about properties that they're going to see, and it might be that they have questions before they go and view that we can answer, rather than you having to think of all those questions when you're on a viewing, which kind of puts you under pressure. So actually it's a really good thing for us to have done anyway. I know we were talking about what other experience can we give people, and I gave you this massive challenge at the start of the year to go, I wonder if you can create a way of us selling a property without anyone having to view. You know, as we said in the last podcast, I always think there'll be that human experience of wanting to see it in the flesh, but I think it's a really good thing that we're doing. And
well, you're absolutely right. I've since we challenged ourselves to try and remotely sell a property without someone actually having to go there, so far all the ways in which I've experimented doing that have involved removing an element that I didn't want to, i.e., how are we going to do the Q&A? How is someone going to be able to walk around and say, "Oh, okay, when did this kitchen go in? Oh, how big's the garden? What are the neighbours like?" And things like, so as much as I was like, yeah, I love this challenge, and if we can knock it out of the park, this will be amazing. The more I looked into it, I'm like, well, actually, to achieve that, I have to remove this bit, and that bit's really key.
Yeah.
Or I've got to remove that bit, and to remove that's really key. And so actually the human element side of it, I think it will always be needed. It will always be needed. But you're right, these video tours...
It's important from a service point of view, even more so than that. But, we kind of are there and we answer questions and we build relationships with people, because notwithstanding, if they buy the property, we're going to have an experience with them for 8 to 10 weeks thereafter, and we need to build those relationships so that actually we're able to get things done when we need to. So all in all, it would always have that human experience from our perspective. But it's been interesting that my concern was that are we going to, by having a viewing video, will it be a nice thing to have, but it won't actually do anything? I.e., will someone leave it having more questions than they did before we even did it? And the 360 actually did that when we looked at it, in terms of, I'm not sure it's going to answer all the questions that you would have as a viewer, whereas the GoPro, almost you see everything that you would see on a viewing, and therefore if you've got questions, you can ask them, but you at least are able to see it as you would see it.
Yeah, I mean, I was saying to you this morning, the GoPro videos, the walking around type videos, they're a lot more of an informative piece rather than a sales
Yeah.
piece. The balance that I always have when I go and do a property video with, the big gear is that you have to kind of like produce this lovely, emotionally rich piece of marketing material, and that involves maybe spinning around the room a little bit quicker and showing this part for less time than this part. So yeah, the compromise has always been sort of, you aren't perhaps as informative about, like for example in the property videos, I don't really film the downstairs toilet. Everyone knows what a downstairs toilet is. You don't need to see it, and that compromise is
They're
always
not that pretty. We're trying to do a pretty.
yeah, but that compromise has always been sort of very biased towards this video wants to appeal to someone. It's a marketing material piece, and so you want it to be polished, you want it to be clean and slick. These videos are completely the opposite. They are a bit shaky. They're not as they're not put together with fast-paced cuts and all the rest of it. There's a nice subtle piece of music underneath it so that it's not dull, but that doesn't enhance the video anymore. It's literally just continuously walking all the way around the whole property so that people can see it. So it's much more of an informative piece. But yeah, so I envision that we'll always do them. I imagine that what it will be is that we'll have our collection of normal property videos that we've always done and we always send out, and that will probably pique people's interest. And I think then when people kind of go, oh, well, this one I'm really interested in, and as soon as they've been sold on this place looks amazing, they can then kind of be given this more informative piece that will allow them to rewind, fast forward, pause on certain areas, just to give that little bit more context to the main sort of selling property video that we normally do. So that's where I see it fitting in within the hierarchy of content that we deliver to people. But yeah, I certainly think that on the back end of this, there is, we'll definitely keep on doing these.
It certainly reinforced to me the importance of video in, the importance of video in property marketing. It's so essential. I think if we didn't do it, I think I'd be really worried about how we're going to be able to service that bridge of someone.
Oh, absolutely. If you were just photos, if you were just a still image, you can make it look as pretty as you like.
Yeah.
It doesn't tell a story of, well, how is that a home? Where, it doesn't give enough information. And yeah, you're right. If we were like known as the estate agent that did like the absolute best photos ever out there, and if you want the best photos of your property, check out these guys, it wouldn't be enough. It would not be enough. Video is the key. And I think at the back end of this, I think a lot of businesses are going to realize that video, in terms of delivering your message, regardless of what your business is, I think video is going to be reinforced as king.
And I think that's really good for consumers, because I've seen it all over obviously the on LinkedIn and trade bits that I'm in and people I follow, that actually everyone seems to be kind of adopting video is massively important over the coming sort of weeks and months. And, so actually from a consumer point of view, actually again out of the back of this, your experience of interacting with agents will be better, hopefully, because you'll be able to see more of a property before you actually go out and view it, and that's no bad thing.
Definitely. Good. Well, I mean, I think that's a good place to sort of leave it. I think that's a good update on where we are. An interesting thing, though, that I mean, like Leonard James is only a year old, and just over a year old, and you in the whole self-employed, being your own boss type world, that's only a year old as well. Before that, you were part of Rightmove and part of a corporation with a hierarchy. You were quite high up in that hierarchy, and there are certain certain comforting safety measures that are attached to that. When you go self-employed, you don't have any safety nets. It's you and one bad decision in the abyss, and it can be quite daunting. So what's your thoughts on the fact that you're a year into being self-employed and then suddenly Armageddon's happened? Because I've survived a couple of sort of near misses in my sort of time of being self-employed, and it's interesting to know where you've kind of come fresh out the gate, kind of go self-employed, woo, and then you just got smacked in the face with this thing.
Yeah, and we had Brexit last year too.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely not ideal. I'd be lying if I said there's probably not worrying times ahead.
Have you lost any sleep?
No, not yet. But I think that's because I feel like we're doing everything that we can, and there's no point at the moment. This moment in time, things are okay. We're still getting inquiries. We're still getting people booking in viewings. We still got people wanting to put their house on the market. And so, actually, if all I did was watch the news and judge how things are based on the news, I think, I probably would be freaking out and kind of going, this is going to be the end. The reality for us right here, right now, as me and you were talking, is that we've got a busy diary for the next couple of days. We're going into next week with putting new house on the market. We've got buyer inquiries coming through. And so that gives me confidence that we're, yes, there might be less of a pie for us to go after, but we are still going to be able to make sales, tick along, and kind of keep moving forward. And I think as long as we can keep moving forward, and everything doesn't grind to a halt, then it gives me lots of reason to be optimistic. I suppose our saving grace is that we are only a year old, and therefore we are run quite lean from a perspective of we work out this unit here. We don't have massive overheads. My Rightmove experience almost taught me to run lean and kind of prepare for that rainy day. If I compare it to the worst moment I ever had from a career perspective, which was 2008. Which from a career perspective was just absolutely devastating because we went through redundancies there, which wasn't nice, but someone switched the tap off with us. There was literally no money in the world. We weren't sending inquiries to agents. There was no one buying houses. There was just no way that you could get a mortgage. It doesn't feel like that this time, and although there's this big thing happening in the background and it's absolutely dreadful.
Do you think our economic readiness now? Do you think the big measures that have been pulled out of the cupboard and dusted off to counter this is informed by what happened in 2008?
You would like to think that lessons have definitely been learned.
I think across this side of the Atlantic, there was.
I guess time will tell. Time is everything with these things. So I guess I'm not one. I always try to sort of take everything as on face value in terms of what is happening in the here and now. Try to stay calm in terms of just being able to deal with what's in front of us. And right now, things are okay. That might change. We've done everything that we can do. Look, my heart goes out to there's loads of people that are already finding it really tough, kind of events and venues, and you've said with weddings and...
Oh yeah, I've had 4 brides postponed so far this year, who are getting married this year, and every one of them has been just as upset as the other.
Yeah.
I've got a wedding tomorrow for a bride who the wedding was too close to postpone or cancel, and her family are overseas, and we're supposed to be coming over for a wedding. She's got to get married without her family there. Yeah. So there are some real heartbreaking things that are going to happen, and already have happened. But from the business point of view, though, like you say, I mean, I'm in a complete agreement. I think momentum is the key thing. As long as you don't stop, that's the key thing, And we've got provisions in place for keeping that momentum going, keeping content flowing.
Genuinely, I feel really positive about actually there's some really good opportunities for people right here, right now, and as long as your life isn't hugely impacted by this, actually, there are some really great opportunities for home movers.
I'd agree, and I've felt that positivity more in the last, say, 2 or 3 days than I did before that. Before I was sort of like a bit apprehensive. I was a bit unsure. I was like, not too sure what's going to happen, and it's not a great feeling. And over the last, I'd say over the last 48 hours, my mood has sort of switched.
Yeah. I think so. I think it's nice to see so many local people pulling together. I think that's really important.
Absolutely.
I think now more than ever, we should all support each other. Local businesses are going to need our help without question. I include ourselves in that. We will need support, as we've always got from people who have watched this and have followed us. We will without question need your help. Vice versa, we want to try and help everyone and through this stuff. And I guess as a final note from me, just a huge thank you to. I've had so many messages and phone calls over the last sort of 48 hours from people just checking in that we're okay. And yeah, we're 12 months in, so it is daunting times. But thank you for those people reaching out and just checking in that we're all right. We are, thank you, and I do genuinely really, really appreciate it. So I've tried to pass that forward to other people, and just to any local estate agents, people in property, local businesses. Look, I hope we all pull through, and if there's anything we can do to help anyone, then look, genuinely we are here to kind of all band together.
Yeah, and I'd certainly echo that. Absolutely, I would. It is good seeing people come together, pull through this as one. Yeah. There are a couple of stories of that not happening, but I think the majority of us know that looking after each other, being kind and caring towards each other is the key thing with all this, and I'm seeing that. So I'd echo everything you just said there. So it's good to see.
Yeah.
Great. Well, that's an update from us on where we're at with this whole thing, our preparations for it, and what we're going to be doing to keep the business sort of still present in people's minds and properties that come on and off the market and things. So
stay safe, everyone. I think that's the most important thing with everything else that's going on. Just most importantly, look after yourself and your families and your loved ones, and good luck.
Absolutely. Take care.
Thanks, guys.